Good day, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to everyone. Hello, it is absolutely nice to see you here, and I'm very happy to see you here. Thank you very much for coming, and we are going to start the class in a few minutes. I'm going to be with you for the next 1 hour. So this is the core subject that you need to take for the masters. All right, let's start. Let's get starting.
It's called the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework is called the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework are terms and theory hypotheses called the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework are terms and theory hypotheses that are often used interchangeably in everyday use called the theoretical framework. The theoretical framework are terms and theory hypotheses that are often used interchangeably in everyday use, and a theory is well-established principle that has been developed to explain some aspect of the natural world. So the theories arise from repeated observation and testing and incorporates facts, laws, predictions, and tested hypotheses, and they are widely accepted. So what are the theories in nursing? They have types of theories in nursing called grand theories, middle, descriptive, and prescriptive. So the commonly used theories in nursing research are the systems theory, basic human needs theory, health and wellness models, stress and adaptation, developmental theories, and psychological theories. So the essential concepts common among nursing theories is man, health, environment, and nursing. So one of the theory of nursing is from Florence Nightingale, and they are for the 5 factors of a healthy environment and the environmental sanitation that includes proper ventilation, adequate lighting, cleanliness, adequate warmth, and diet. So the Virginia Henderson theory, on the other hand, is assisting the individual's scale, and they are for the 5 factors of a healthy environment and the environmental sanitation that includes proper ventilation, adequate lighting, cleanliness, adequate warmth, and diet. So the Virginia Henderson theory, on the other hand, is assisting the individual sick or well in the performance of those activities contributing to health and its recovery or to peaceful death. This is the fundamental 14 fundamental needs of an individual that is theorized by Virginia Henderson. The Hildegard Peplau is looking at interprofessional or interpersonal relation model. So it's more of the 10 determinants, which is prior related behavior, perceived benefits of action, perceived barriers, perceived self-efficacy, activity-related effect, interpersonal influences, families, friends, providers, and situational influences, immediate competing demands, commitment of to plan of action, and personal factors. In Calista Roy, it says that man is a biophysical psychological being, and they have 4 modes of adaptation, which is physiologic, self-concept, role function, interdependence. The adaptation model RAM is called RAM. It's from the Calista Roy. It also looks at the nursing process with the following steps, assessment, nursing diagnosis, goal setting, intervention, and evaluation. On Dorothea Orem is the theory of self-care. Okay, this is the self-care theory, the 3 interrelated theories of Dorothea Orem. This is a theory of self-care, the self-care deficit theory, and the theory of nursing systems, which is further classified into compensatory, partial compensatory, and supportive educative. Abraham Maslow, we love Abraham Maslow. So Abraham Maslow is for the human needs, physiological safety and security, belongingness, social and love, esteem, and self-actualization. While Alder Fair is using existence-related and growth theory. Albert Bandura is more of master nursing education or education for a social learning and self-efficacy and social cognitive. So Albert Bandura is looking at the performing tasks in 4 ways, which is inactive mastery, vicarious modeling, verbal persuasion, and arousal. While David Kolb's also for education, this is more of the theory and of learning styles. So David Kolb's know that there are a lot of learning styles. They believe on life experiences and demand of our current environment. Douglas McGregor is administrative, looking at the theory of X and Y chromosomes, and his idea is recognized on the influence of assumptions from genetic makeup. He said that administration from leaders are looking at the genetic codes, the great man theory from one generation to another generation, passing on generations is Douglas McGregor. Frederick Hartsberg emphasized on job enrichment rather than job enlargement. This is also for administrative. Looking at motivation, the theory of motivation. So what is a conceptual framework? These are the theoretical framework. The conceptual framework is different from theoretical framework. That has a concept that illustrates expected study. It defines the relevant variables for the study and maps out how they might relate to each other. So how do conceptual framework works? It used to visualize expected cause and effect relationship. So that means you have to draw. One of the common variables to include are moderators, mediators, and control. So this is the moderating variable. As you can see, this is the moderator, and this is the cause goes to the effect. So you have to have a cause that points towards the effect. All right. The mediating variable, on the other hand, has the independent and dependent variable, allowing the relationship between what is better explained. So this is the mediating variable. This is the cause, and this is the effect. The cause is pointing towards the effect. That means the cause does not work without the variables here. It might be related to the mediating, the one that mediates the cause in order for it to have an effect. So that means it's not a one-way relationship. It is a triangular relationship. The control variable is only for experimental study. This is the control. Okay, and then it points towards the effect. Okay, the control one is the one that you don't touch. This is the cost variable that is being experimented on. So the control is something that you don't touch. So the model is called the cause and effect model with a confounding variable. This is also a confounding model, the confounding variable conceptual model. And it has the confoundment of a lot of demographies. That's what you call the confounding variable. So the legends can show flowcharts, okay, can show color broken arted lines and straight lines. The square is called a spread outbreak. The rectangle is called instruction. The triangle is called authority. And circle is called holism. So the colors have different families. They're family of blue, red, and yellow. The family of blue can have peace, tranquility, femininity. And the family of red is power, strength, love, stop, courage, danger, warnings, burning. These are the hurt, hate, war, and dirtiness and death. These are the interpretations of red family. In the yellow family are birth, slow down, weight, infection, false belief, adulterated, lukewarm, doubt, deliberate, and systematic. These are the interpretations of yellow color. This is a conceptual framework from the World Health Organization. You see, the cause is pointing towards the effect. The effect is holistic. It's a circle effect. And the effect this is their legs. Their legs are pointing towards the planet Earth. And these are the causes. The cause variable are the humans. Because of humans, you might to make the world a better place. So that's basically the conceptual framework of the World Health Organization. This is a conceptual framework from Maslow. This is a pyramid, a triangular shape. It means a policy, you don't jump to the next step without completing the first step. And then it's a step-by-step policy. You don't jump from one step to another before you reach the self-actualization stage. So are you ready for your chapter 2? That's all. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your time. I'm going to look at your um, title, thesis title, and then let me see whether we can formulate a if we can formulate a paradigm or a illustration, an illustration of your title into a framework, into a conceptual framework. Now, let me see one by one all those titles, all those research titles that were posted on the platform here on the YouTube chat box. I can see it all now. We're gonna have to use the whiteboard. All right, I'm gonna use the whiteboard. Okay, it's loading. The whiteboard is loading. Be patient for a while. Right. I'm looking at your type, all your research titles. Okay, the first research title is Patient Satisfaction and Quality of Care in Psychiatric Inpatient Services. Okay, let me illustrate this. Okay, I hope you're looking at the whiteboard now. I am reading all your messages from the chat box, and let us illustrate most of your research titles here. So as you can see, this is the first example, patient satisfaction and quality of care, right? This is your variable, right? Now, if we're gonna look at these two variables here, it doesn't have any dependent variable or effect or the outcome. You have the setting, which may be one of your um, social demography, which is the place or the location where the study will be held in the psychiatric inpatient services. But on a quantitative study, when you look at quantitative, it doesn't have the effect variable or called the dependent variable. Uh, you can um, the patient satisfaction and quality of care can be the independent variable, but you have to put something to do with patient satisfaction and quality of care that impacts what impacts patient satisfaction and quality of care, or what is the outcome of patient satisfaction and quality of care. Now, if this is your outcome, the satisfaction and quality of care, which can be possible, if this is your outcome, the outcome is patient satisfaction and quality of care, then you have to put an independent variable. So that's what's missing here. Okay, let's go for the other. So now you know what's missing here. You have to decide what is missing on that title. We're going for the next example. Prevalence and correlation. All right. Prevalence, correlation, and impact of substance abuse on academic challenges of nursing students. Good. Now I can see that there is an academic challenge. Therefore, if you're looking at these academic challenges, the prevalence, correlation, and impact of substance abuse will be your independent variable, and the outcome is the academic challenge. And the social demography, which is the nursing students, they are students, that's their status, all right? They are still students, and the location is also a demography, which is in Ogun State. So this is a complete set of a title for quantitative studies. And the underpinning knowledge for this study, I will only proceed with the underpinning knowledge if it is a complete set for a quantitative study. So if you're looking at the academic challenges, therefore your underpinning knowledge will be the head, hearts, and hands, or the knowledge, skill, and attitude theory for the nursing study, for the domains of nursing studies. Let's go for another example called the assessment. All right, let's go for another example, which is the assessment. All right, assessment of perception and attitude to mandatory continuous professional development. I can see that you're looking at the independent variable called the assessment and attitude, perception and attitude. And your dependent variable is mandatory continuous professional development. So you can put here the independent variable, which is perception and attitude, and the dependent variable that is mandatory continuous professional development program. Since this is a complete set of a title, yeah, this is a complete set. This is a good complete set of a title. Let us see what's the underpinning knowledge or theory behind it. If you will remember Patricia Benner, which is from the V's to Experts, uh, Patricia Benner says, novice is the beginning of a continuous professional development. You have to do continuous professional development to end up with becoming an expert. So that can be used as your underpinning knowledge or as your theoretical framework for that study. I'm going to go for another example. Knowledge, attitude, and practice. Again, this is the domain of nursing studies. The head, hearts, and hands, or the knowledge, attitude, and practice. So as you can see, you know already what is your underpinning knowledge. This is complete set as well. The knowledge, attitude, and practice of emergency preparedness among nurses in selected tertiary hospitals in Ogun State. So the emergency preparedness will be your outcome. So what is your independent variable? Their knowledge, their attitude, and their practice. All right, so let's go for the next example. Since we have a lot of examples here, well, look, I can accommodate all the examples. So that is a good title as well, since it's composing of independent and dependent variable. Similarly, knowledge and factors contributing to delay in emergency care. This is also an example. Uh, it has similarities with the first one. Knowledge and factors contributing to delay in emergency care. Well, the knowledge and factors are there. Although, if you want to remove the knowledge, it's fine to have the factors because the factors is an umbrella effect. And if you only want to use factors, you can remove the knowledge. You can put knowledge within the factors as a sub variable of the main independent variable, which is the factors. And the delay in emergency care will be your dependent variable, right? Thank you very much. So therefore, it is also leading to it's the same thing as the domains of nursing studies. Yeah, let's go for more title. Assessment of mental health needs and coping strategies. Oh, this is a very interesting title. It looks at another um, underpinning knowledge, which is mental health. So here is your mental health needs. And however, it doesn't have any dependent variable. Mental health needs and coping strategies. If you want to remove this end, you can have a dependent variable, which is the coping strategies. Assessment of mental health needs and its impact on and its impact on coping strategies among students. So don't make it end, because if you make it end, that means you have two independent variables. Or if you want to put end, you can put and its impact on coping strategies, or assessment of mental health needs leading to. You can put here that leads to coping strategies, or um, the outcome should be coping strategies. In that way, it's a complete set of dependent and independent variable. And therefore, this is most likely uh, the underpinning knowledge is on mental health. Let's go for the next title, Experiences of Pregnant Women. All right, we have a lot of titles down there. Let's do this. No problem. Now we are here at experiences of pregnant women receiving midwifery antenatal care services. Yes, sometimes we can only put independent variable on exploratory or qualitative studies. Let me give you a warning on qualitative studies at master's level. It's quite difficult, but yeah, you can do a qualitative study at master's level, receiving midwifery antenatal care. And your question is, what happens? What is their experience? So that is the dependent is missing, which happens most of the time on qualitative study because of exploration. You don't know yet what's the effect. That's why you want to explore, because you don't know what's going to happen. But anticipatory is only a hypothesis, which is found on quantitative studies. Hypothetical things are found in quantitative studies. Therefore, if you are a quantitative researcher, you might want to have a dependent variable. But if you're a qualitative researcher, you're doing a qualitative title, you can have the effect or outcome later on your conclusion. You can have inconclusive experiences or conclusive experiences, and the outcome will be your experiences. Therefore, we don't know yet. That's why you want to explore the experiences. This is going to be a phenomena, because experiences most likely are explored phenomena. And pregnant women receiving midwifery-led care antenatal services have different experiences based on their experiences with Federal Medical Center in Kefi. And not everything, it's a phenomena. Maybe their experiences will be good. Sometimes the antenatal service care is not good. The setting here, which is the social demography, it can be a variable that confounds the experiences, which is a very difficult thing to do. So you cannot use survey questionnaire on this study, but I'd rather it is more of a phenomenological. You have to do a semi-structured interview for that. And I advise you to put an effect variable so it becomes a questionnaire. So at master's level, you don't have to struggle so much. But if you wanted to pursue that, it's fine. A questionnaire will be more likely the advice for master students doing survey questionnaire, doing structural equation modeling or prediction modeling will be more of an advice to master students. But if you want to really explore this, you can have that done. Let's go for another example. All right. Simulation-based learning among undergraduate nurses in Yale College of Nursing Sciences. Okay, let's grammatically correct this. It's quite grammatically incorrect. Among undergraduate nurses at Hill, although this is missing, there's no effect variable. What does that simulation learning leads to? How does it impact the undergraduate nurses? It's missing. There's nothing here that can be used for survey questionnaire. Therefore, you have to restructure this. What is missing is the outcome. What does simulation-based learning impacts the undergraduate nurses? There's a missing dependent variable, doesn't have any effect. Hypothetically, you do a hypothetical effect. It's an educated guess. Therefore, guess what? Let me guess. Okay, that's a quantitative study in a hypothetical approach. Challenges faced by mental health. Let's go for another example. Challenges faced by mental health nurses working in Alsop Hospital. Again, an effect variable is missing. Yeah, or you wanted to do a exploratory, or you wanted to do a phenomena on the challenges because the dependent is missing. I advise you that challenges can be measured. Challenges can be mathematically measured and statistically measured or numerically measured. Therefore, put an effect variable or hypothetically tell us maybe what? What do you guess will be the challenges that impacts mental health nurses? All right? No. Perceptions of experiences. Perceptions and experiences of traumatic injuries among, again, something is missing. There's no effect variable. This perception experiences of traumatic injuries, again, has no effect variable. Nurses' perception and performance of end of life. Again, there's no effect variable on the nurse's perception and performance. Is missing. There is missing here. Masha Dauda. Knowledge of nurses on the role of urethral catheterization. Good for the prevention of obstetric fistula. Aha. This is good. So let us see. All right. Knowledge of nurses on the role of urethral catheterization for the prevention of obstetric fistula. As you can see, there's a defect variable. Okay? It's very clear that you wanted to prevent obstetric fistula. Hypothetically, the outcome of obstetric fistula. You hypothesize and make an educational guess whether it does. When you have knowledge, I don't think knowledge can prepare, but hypothetically, you can do so. Maybe the more intelligent you are, the more prevention of obstetric fistula you will have. But nevertheless, being intelligent doesn't prevent the practice of nurses. Well, if you wanted to pursue on the knowledge and see the level of knowledge, high level knowledge, low level knowledge, medium level knowledge, will prevent obstetric fistula. Even though you're intelligent, the obstetric fistula can still occur. So maybe you want to pursue this, it's fine. or urethral catheterization. So again, the domains of nursing are your underpinning knowledge of the theory called knowledge, skills, and attitude, which is the domain of nursing studies, will be your theory. All right, the head, hearts, and hands, the knowledge, skill, and attitude. All right, that's a good title. Although the knowledge, I strongly disagree that it can prevent having a high level knowledge can prevent. Okay, effectiveness of health education. You want to do an experiment. Um, it is not advisable to do an experiment at master's level, but you can convert this into a survey question. Yeah, you can do so. Effectiveness of health education. Don't put intervention. You can do a survey on this. Or just remove the effectiveness. Health education is fine. Health education. You see, there's no dependent variable again. This one has no dependent variable. Health education and exclusive breastfeeding practices. What does that do? Hypothetically, what does that do? So the outcome is missing. You don't have an outcome here. How do you know what that health education has an impact on exclusive breastfeeding practices? What does it do? Okay? Just hypothesize, educational guess. Know the outcome by hypothetically saying the outcome is and the impact will be among postpartum mothers. Postpartum mothers are social demography, their status is how many times they have been pregnant or delivered it, and also where is it located? That's the demography. Now, if you're gonna do a dependent variable, just hypothetically know what's gonna happen. You don't have to really prove it, but later on you will know that what is the survey question that leads to an outcome, whether it does lead to an outcome that you hypothetically have placed as a dependent variable. Let's go for attitude and perception of pregnant women towards induction of labor. That's right. Now I have a complete set. Okay, this is a complete set. We have a cause and effect, attitude and perception of pregnant women. Okay, so the effect that you hypothesize, that you wanted to see, the effect or the outcome is the induction of labor. Now, um, you can put more words to describe this induction of labor. For example, successful induction of labor, or for a limited pain, or for you have to describe this because induction of labor is too broad. You can narrow it down further, so it's not yet complete. Well, your underpinning knowledge will be the induction of labor, definitely, and you can also put the pregnant women's underpinning knowledge of their labor stages of labor. So it's almost complete, but not so much. Let's go for knowledge and attitude on challenges towards cervical cancer vaccine. Uh-huh. Yeah, it's fine. You have to narrow this down and describe what makes it an outcome. It's it's too broad. Okay? So you have the knowledge and attitude, which is the domain, and challenges. Now you added the challenges on this underpinning knowledge called the knowledge, attitude, and practice. Maybe challenges may be there. It's fine. So, describe and put some adjective or on this cervical cancer vaccine. Or you mean towards the acceptance, or describe it further? What do you want the cervical cancer vaccine to be affecting women in Abuja? And not all women, maybe women who are looking for pregnancies, expecting women to be pregnant. So yeah, that is fine, but describe it. Knowledge. Let's go for another one. Knowledge, attitude, and challenges towards it's the same thing. Um, Social norms and practices influencing healthcare seeking behavior. All right, social norms and practices. Yeah, that is fine. This is fine. Okay, so now you are looking at social norms and practices, right? Influencing healthcare seeking behavior. So you have an underpinning knowledge of health seeking behavior. That is an underpinning knowledge as well. And also, health belief model is an underpinning knowledge for this. And the social norms and practices, the norms and practices of married women, that can be an underpinning knowledge, which is fine. You can now do the survey questionnaire for this. All right, let's go for another one, which is knowledge and practices for prevention of healthcare associated infection. This is not enough. Narrow this down into the discipline. Now, this is okay because theoretically you are complete, but what kind of discipline does this lead to? Knowledge and practices, any disciplines for prevention of healthcare associated infection. Any more variables that makes it so specific? Maybe knowledge and practices of medical surgical nursing in the prevention of healthcare associated infection. Or in the intensive care, sometimes associated healthcare associated infection are very much an issue on intensive care nursing. But uh, yeah, this is good. Just have to narrow it down further. So we're going for the next one, which is evaluating consistency of intermittent preventive treatment uses and its impact on neonatal birth rate. Good. This is good. All right. Let's grammatically correct this. So remember, a quantitative title hypothesizes the effect variable, and there's no hypothesis of qualitative studies. Evaluating the consistency of intermittent preventive treatment or IPT. Why there's a P here? Intermittent preventive treatment IPT. Evaluating the consistency of IPT. You can remove these uses and its impact on neonatal birth weight. Yeah, it's nice if you put a setting here, because it's too. You mean all over the world or just in one specific setting? Generalization can happen. Yes, that's fine. Generalization. However, it is more likely appropriate if you put some variables for the social demography, which is the location. What is this? How does nutrition something something? How does nutrition during pregnancy affect the fetal outcomes? You can use that, but there's no independent. This is a good dependent variable. Nutrition during fetal outcomes. Fetal outcomes, what kind of outcome do you want the fetus? You mean low birth weight? All right, fix that title. Exploring nursing students. Exploring nursing students' experiences. All right. Okay. Why not we have a 5 minute break, right? And since most of you are already having a lot of time with me, so that you guys can have a rest for a while. 1 minute break is fine.